Hey everybody, how we doing? How's the day been? Energy, good. Yeah, I'm going to entertain you for 10-15 minutes. So I want to start with a poem that I wrote about a week ago in the spirit of what I'm going to talk about today. In the beginning, crypto was a utopian dream. A gold rush of inspiration. Internet cowboys flocked far and wide just to contribute to the world's new financial system. Money fell from the sky in abundance. No one asked to be rich, and yet rich we all were. No one asked for the ENS airdrop, and we were grateful. Stories were told of the riches plundered. Opportunists flocked to the gold fields with pickaxes and shovels, with expectation of profit. Give, they said, give more. While we waited for the world to adopt us, we ran out of ideas and we started telling stories. Everything became an L2. We had no choice but to trade the metagame. Things turned PvP and we lost our way. We all have Jeetly desires within us, but beneath the veil we are all Chads. We may be quick to point the finger at the man that we could have been in the same situation with the same demons. Do not judge yourself as you yourself are judged, for it is the Jeet within you that will be destroyed. There's a light on the horizon. When we give real world value to the world again, crypto will be positive sum. If you still want to change the world, step into your power and let's make crypto real again. Thank you. That was just an introduction to get us warmed up. Now, there's something really interesting happening right now in the intersection between crypto and politics, and that's what I want to walk you through today. It's all kicking off in a little old place called Dublin in Ireland. This picture was taken a couple of days ago at a rally that was held there. 100,000 people gathered in Ireland, in Dublin, which is a very big crowd, and yeah, they're all pretty pissed off at something. Now, what are they pissed off about? Well, basically there's a bunch of livability issues that are going on in Ireland at the moment. Rising housing lack of housing affordability, rising housing costs, rising cost of living in general. They've had a lot of migrants come in from all over the European lands. There's some crazy shit going on in Europe right now. And basically, the problem that these people are feeling is that the government aren't doing much to assimilate those people. And so there's all this conflict on the streets and cultural divide. It's a horrible situation. And this guy, Conor McGregor's leading the charge. A bit of an unexpected hero, And he comes out with this message of fairness. He wants to see his government do something fair. It's not about us versus them, he says. It's not about wrong and right. It's just about what is fair. And boiling it down, he boils it down to broken incentives, which I found very interesting. This piqued my interest. So if you think about the way you can imagine it work, this is from the perspective of these angry folks in Ireland. You've got the people with one set of interests, and they're the ones that vote on elections and things. And then you've got another group of people, donors, the deep state, whatever you want to call it, the EU even, who have a different set of interests, and they come in, and the person who represents the people is therefore divided into these two states. You've got the pink interest, you've got the yellow interest, and so this divide between narrative and action appears, right? We can call this incongruency, if you will. People who are caught in the middle, they have this broken incentive structure, so they can't, it's easy to point the finger at someone in government saying they're not doing what they say, but there's a reason for all that, right? They're doing what they need to do to stay in the game, and they're trying to keep both sides balanced and happy. Now, what's all this got to do with crypto? I'm not just here to talk about politics. I'm not just here to talk about Ireland, but there is something here, and I'll jump into another room. Is anyone not familiar with what this is? Everyone's across it? You're not sure? So you might have heard of the Libra token about a month ago. Yeah. So this guy Hayden Davis, was coordinating this thing with the president of Argentina, and basically a couple $100 million was extracted from this meme coin, and I was actually living under a rock at the time. I was in India meditating, and when I came back into crypto and heard about all this, I was really cut, because I think in a lot of ways crypto's facing a similar kind of incentive crisis at the moment. I think people are rugging each other, right? People are rugging each other. Now why? Why are they rugging each other? Well, there's a lot of information asymmetry. If you're a guy who's living in a world where everyone's rugging each other and you want to make some money, people see that as the game. Like, that's just become normal now in a lot of circles. And I think at the end of the day, when a man can't find meaning in his life, he distracts himself with pleasure. And I think the crisis we're facing at the moment in crypto is we don't have a purpose. We don't have meaning at the moment. There's no spirit. There's no spirit. And it boils down to the same kind of thing. So I'm going to draw these two together now. Crypto was invented to solve the problem that I talked about before. You've got misaligned incentives between the people and the donors. Now, what a DAO basically does is it takes the people with their interests in terms of the political interests or their goals, and it takes the economic vector and it just aligns them. Like Pizza DAO, right? Very simple. You've got a bunch of people who want to eat some pizza. Put some money in a pot and we'll just buy some pizza. It's very straightforward. You don't have conflicts of incentives in that structure. And this is what DAOs were invented to solve, right? Now, we've never gotten to a place where we can do this at a governmental level. Why? Because, well, we're a bunch of frickin' internet cowboys, right? It's just, it's not happening yet. But in theory, in principle, this is what crypto was made for. This is what we all came here for. And, just to walk through how this could work, like, this is a simple DAO template. You've got token holders. They elect a council. The council holds a treasury. They raise funds by selling the token. So they've got US dollars in the treasury. And then they have initiatives, and they fund those initiatives. The initiatives have outcomes. If the outcomes aren't met, they don't get funded anymore. Very simple way to do this. And, it's the incentives of the token holders are directly aligned to the initiatives, right? If the initiatives aren't working, if they're not solving the problems the token holders set out to solve, then they basically don't elect that council anymore because the council's overseeing it. So, in theory land, problem's been solved. Now, I want to add a practical layer to this to whip it back into what's going on in Ireland. Let's say, for example, you had the Treasury, they raised $20 million by selling these tokens to the token holder chads. Then an initiative that the council runs is Conor McGregor puts his hand up and says, guys, I want funding to build more houses in Dublin because the housing affordability is an issue and we need to solve the problem. So they take $1 million out of that treasury and they give it to him. And then maybe he goes and builds some houses, maybe he doesn't. If he doesn't, they don't give him any more money. But let's just say he does. He goes out and builds some houses. And Conor McGregor gets on the media and says to the government, guys, you guys aren't solving anything. I'm out here building houses for people with money I raise from the people. I'm accountable to the people. What's the deal with the government? Now, we'd get to a very interesting place if we could do that, right? This is agnostic to whether or not the government really are doing their job. But if the DAO could do the job of the government, it just opens up the door to questions because, yeah, you know, maybe they work side by side, maybe they're doing a better job, maybe they're doing a worse job. But this system would work in terms of having accountability from token holders and solving the problem directly. Now, the interesting point about this is, okay, normally governments fund themselves with taxes. We don't have taxes in this system. What we have is people buying the token and money going into a pot that gets spent on the problems. So how do you go about raising more money? You know, you've just spent $1 million on houses. How do you earn that back? Well, here's the thing. If we know anything in crypto, the most indivisible, the most valuable commodity that we have in this entire industry is attention. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but attention on a token is what pumps the price. Full stop. Utility, narrative, all the song and dance that we do here at Token 2049 is a means to getting the attention. The attention is what pumps the token price, not the utility. Now, if Conor McGregor was to take $1 million from that treasury raised by the people of Ireland, spend it on some houses, made some noise in the media, he would generate attention. He would generate a lot of attention. He would put people in houses and they would go out on the street and they'd say, holy shit, I just got a house built from me with some crypto thing. Have you heard about this crypto thing? Oh, I don't know, what's crypto? And then you see what I'm saying, you know, the information propagates out. So, you know, for this model to work, I think you need people like Conor or someone who's a celebrity, who's, you know, their heart's in the right place, it has to be so, but they have to be able to make a lot of noise because that's what's going to funnel more attention to the crowd and more crowd into token holders, which creates more value for the ecosystem. Now, that was all theoretical, but I've got some exciting news for you all. You'll hear it first. There's actually a DAO that's working on doing exactly this with Conor McGregor right now. And it's going to be one of the most brilliant experiments crypto's ever ran. And they're called real world gaming, which is kind of ironic because if there was ever a real world game, it would be this. And I really think that we have an opportunity right now to shape history. I don't mean we as in real world, I mean we, everyone in this room, everyone at this conference. We have an opportunity to shape history and we have a responsibility to do it right because politics is starting to collide with crypto. I don't know if you guys have noticed. Politics is starting to collide with crypto, and if we don't set that off in the right direction, it's going to be a beast that we cannot tame given another 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So, yeah, it's a really interesting moment in time to be in crypto. And if anyone in this room is resonating with what I'm saying, please come and speak to me after or scan the QR. This is just linking to the DAO's Twitter. You can message them with any thoughts, any ideas. This is very early. It's hypothetical, but it's going to happen in some shape or form. And we need all of crypto to be on board with this and sharing their views. So thank you very much for listening.
Awesome. Thank you for coming. Does anyone have any questions before he takes off and you have to track him down in the hallway?
Yeah,
Anyone have a question? All right. I had a question, but I forgot.
So how do you see this working in practice?
How do you see it working in practice?
Well, this is a silly kind of diagram, but pretty much like this. Pretty much like this. Do you have a specific kind of holder poke in this diagram that I could address?
Is this just for like the private world, or can this be? Sorry, thanks. Is this just for the private world, or can this be applied to actual governments? Yeah.
It's a good question. I used to be at Infinex. Have you heard of Infinex? Oh, they're like a quasi-centralized exchange. It's built on DeFi rails. The way we used to think about it was, actually a better example might be FTX, right? Binance was king, up until 2021, and then FTX came out and just kind of ran around them. Now, how did they do that? They basically listed really deep liquidity on perps that you could short, and if you couldn't short it on Binance and you could short it on FTX, people would go and start using it. Now, how does any tiny group of people with no resources take on a giant behemoth? Well, they just do a better job than them at something. And so I think the beauty of crypto and the beauty of this really enterable capital market that we've built is that you can start as small as you want. You could just build one house. You could just, feed one homeless person, whatever. As long as that generates more attention than it costs, then that will grow bigger. If you actually solve the problem at hand, then that will create a buzz, that will create an energy that will expand. And so, basically you just run this thing as many times as you can, and the government's still doing their job in parallel, the DAO's doing their job in parallel, and one day, if this DAO can actually serve the function of the government better, they have to merge, or it replaces them, or who the frick knows? Total anarchy, I don't know. It's a very interesting thought experiment.
So, to add to this, could you also add like a non-profit to the process so that these funds are now tax deductible by the people that are contributing to the DAO?
Yeah, that's a good idea. So folks buy the token. I think there'd be something you could do around that where like capital gains aren't taxable or something in some jurisdiction. They put money in the pot and because at the end of the day, it's serving as an NGO, isn't it? It's taking funding and it's solving social issues. Now, the people funding it aren't the government, they're the people. But it would make a lot of sense if it makes sense in the regulatory frame, yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for your question.
Any other questions? Come on, those questions don't raise any other questions. All right.
Did you think of your question?
Well, I'm thinking about the things in the real world that kind of already serve a purpose. I mean, even like simple things like Kickstarter, where celebrities and even anything that's getting attention, people can raise money on Kickstarter, but there's not the kind of infrastructure around that to maybe do what a DAO and crypto can do. And I think it's interesting that you can maybe get more things done on something like Kickstarter right now, but crypto has all of the underlying technology to do something like that a lot better. And it's not really a question, it's more like just an observation. And why aren't we doing more stuff like that?
Yeah, it is kind of like Kickstarter on steroids, isn't it? I think the really interesting thing is that Connor's got 100,000 people in this rally, attending, you know, in Dublin alone. It's got 50 million followers on Instagram. Like, crypto's never seen multiple millions of followers. That's just not a thing, you know? So funneling all of that attention into the right cause, you know, it's very important that the DAO's got its shit together. It's not corrupt. But I think funneling all of that into a just system that's actually doing what it serves its purpose to do, yeah, as I said, very interesting experiment. Kickstarter on steroids with celebrities and social problems.
Awesome. All right, last call. Any more questions? It's actually a really interesting kind of impromptu talk, and thank you very much. You brought people in. You got them to ask some questions. Good job.
What a success. Thanks everyone for having me.
Thank you.
And I'll see you around.
Just